Hi there, this is CiMa-Pak, and we're going to explain how to change the heater roller on a CiMatic inline automatic sealer. So there's a few steps that we need to take before we start doing anything. The first thing we need to do is make sure the machine's on. So turn it on. It's better to just turn it on before you remove the roller so that the roller is not hot. The second thing to do is remove the cover over the heater roller. So there's 4 clips. Remove the cover, set it aside. Now remember, because we have a knife that's very sharp, we want to rotate, so we're using the jog button, to rotate the knife so the knife is pointing down. So here you can see the knife is pointing down. That way, when you remove the roller, there's no chance that you're going to cut your hands on the knife. Okay, so now we're ready to remove the heater roller. Let's turn the machine off, and let's unplug it. Always worried about being safe, right? So you unplug it so there's no chance that the heater roller is connected and heating, and no chance that it could rotate and we hurt ourselves. So now the next step is we want to remove bolts that will hold the heater roller in place. There are 3 tools that we're going to need. The first tool, we need a 1/16. It's like a small screwdriver, very, very small hex, 1/16. Then we have the 3/16 Allen key, that's to remove the main bolts. And then a 7/64 Allen key or hex to remove the L cover. So that's what we're going to remove first. So the first thing we do is there's a small cover that we need to remove with the 7/64 Allen key. So we just pull the bolt out, and you'll notice that little L cover will come out easily. So take that, set it aside. Next thing we do is remove the 4 bolts that hold the arms onto the lower assembly. So remember, those are 3/16 hex head. So we take 2 off each side. So most of removing the 2 here. Set the bolts aside. And then we'll go to the other side and do the exact same thing. So let's move over slowly to the other side. And we'll see these bolts being removed. Again, take your time, there's no hurry. It's not a long process, but we want to make sure that we don't skip any steps. Okay, so now the bolts are removed. So now the next thing we have to do is, there is a cover underneath the machine. So let's take a video shot of the cover. There's a cover underneath the machine, and it has 4 small screws. That's that 1/16 screwdriver tool that makes it so much easier. So remove the 4 screws that hold on the electrical cover plate. Be careful not to lose those screws. They're pretty small. So again, take your time. If you drop a screw into the little compressor, you might have to try to fish that out later on. So now you'll notice the cover comes down on its own. The heater roller is connected to the main power line with this connector that has 4 wires going into it. So just pull the connector apart. You can see the connector pulled apart this way. And then now take the wires and rotate the wires up. We want to remove the roller, but we want to make sure the wires are not trapped underneath. If they're hanging down, what could happen is you could end up pulling the wires out of the connector and damaging it. So pull the wires up and then slowly remove the arms out of the arm holders. So now the heater roller is removed. Okay, so now we're going to reinstall. So let's imagine it's a new heater roller. We're going to reinstall it. The operation is not exactly the same as removal, so let's follow carefully. The first thing to do is to slide the aluminum roller arms into the plastic slots. Now, you have to be careful. You slowly wiggle. Don't force it. Don't make sure it's nice and straight. And then when you get it straight, it should drop carefully. Now, remember the wires? Pull those wires out so when we're lowering it, we're not pinching the wires between the arms and the assembly that raises the arms up. So just put the wires slowly into the slot. There you go, into the slot, nice. And then tuck them underneath to get them out of the way. So now what we do is we want to put the bolts back that hold the roller arms to the lifter assembly. So it's, again, the installation is not exactly the reverse of the removal. So install those 4 bolts, both sides. Gonna tighten them up.
Don't tighten them up yet.
Later, yeah, we'll tighten them up later, exactly. So we just hand tighten them because we want to put in the little L bracket in the groove. Again, change tools and work that in slowly. You can tighten that one in when it's in place. Now we can tighten the 4 bolts because everything is lined up nicely. If you tighten the 4 bolts first, sometimes you'll have trouble getting that little L bracket into place, and you have to almost force it into, and we don't want to do that. There's no need to force anything here. Okay, so once those 4 bolts are tightened, the next thing is going to be to reinstall the electrical plate. Of course, we had to disconnect the electricity, so now we have to reconnect it. Now when you reconnect the connector together, remember, you should be able to see the screws that retain the wires. Those screws should be always on the same side. Don't flip it, just make sure they're on the same orientation. So when you plug it in, your heater wires are hooked up to the proper heater wires. There you go. Then slowly tuck that clip or connector into the cavity, put the electrical plate on, and then using your little screwdriver, we're going to want to insert. So just, again, it's always better, mechanically to start the screws. First one's always the most challenging one to get in, but find a hole, and again, take your time, start the screw, locate it, put it in, and then generally what we do is we want to install the other screws before we tighten everything up. And again, that's just kind of standard practice when you're assembling something. Trying to do this with a regular Allen key presents quite a bit of a challenge. So the tools that you have that we're talking about are all in the toolbox that comes with the machine when you buy it. So make sure that you have these tools available because it's going to make the installation much easier. So once the screws are in, they're all nice and tight, we're pretty well done. Now all we have to do is we can do a test to make sure everything moves properly. Put the cover on. Always put the cover on before we start up again. Lockdown clips. Never run the machine with the cover off. As we know, the heater roller's hot, and that knife is very sharp. We can start the machine up, plug it back in, start the machine up, make sure that everything's lined up. If there's an issue, of course, you'll see that the temperature controller will show an error if it's not connected properly. But if you follow these steps, there won't be a very big issue. It's a very simple machine, very simple to operate, very simple to change parts on it. When you fire the machine up, like we're doing here now, you'll see a boot up, and then you'll see a temperature reading. The green is the set temperature, the red, of course, is our actual temperature. It starts in the minus range and will go into the positive range later. If you get 4 lines, it means that you haven't connected something correctly. But follow these steps and you won't have any issues.